Well, I think we can go ahead and get started. It's 7:05 in my computer, and we're scheduled to start at 7. So I was just waiting for a couple more people to join, and I think there will probably be more joining a little bit later, but we can get started now. My name is Mariela Rua, and I'm the lucky one to be the executive assistant to Jan Barker, our CEO. I work out of the Kalamazoo office, and I'm very excited to have all of you here tonight. So a couple of quick things about Zoom. I will be kind of looking if somebody by mistake unmutes, or there's a dog barking, or dog, Connie's dog, Stella, who knows, anybody's dogs, pets, somebody rings the doorbell. I'll probably mute you. But then I will for sure mute you later to have your microphone open to ask questions. So don't be offended if I mute you, please. I'm just trying to have the session.
No, he has a list.
So I'm going to mute somebody right now. So there. So I just muted somebody. So anyways, if you have any questions throughout the session, feel free to type them in the chat box. Then we will also have time at the end or throughout the session to openly ask questions. So I think that is all all I wanted to share for now. I will pass the stage to our own CEO, Jan Barker, for the session on understanding the startling impact of the pandemic on girls.
Thank you, Mariela. Well, it's exciting to have so many people sign up and so many people that have a love for girls learning and growing and thriving. So thank you all for being here. I really appreciate it. I want to ask you that as we move forward, we have a lot of material to cover, is put your comments and questions in the chat box. We'll be talking about very specific effects that the pandemic and the quarantine have had on girls. And I'd love your feedback on how you're coping, you're helping your girls thrive. I have a few examples as we move through the presentation. And we also want to hear your concerns, because tomorrow night there's going to be an interactive session where leaders, you'll be able to share. Also, I want to let you know that we are going to be putting something up on Facebook so that leaders can share ideas and get best practices on what they're doing to be able to take care of our girls. So make sure everybody's muted. I do hear some squeaking and rustling in the background. So if you don't see a little red microphone next to your name, you're not muted. So go ahead and mute. And I want to remind everybody that, and you're going to hear this in the presentation, that we all know that if a Girl Scout is compared to a non-Girl Scout, the Girl Scout is going to have that stronger sense of self, display positive values. She's going to be more apt to seek challenges and form healthy relationships and be a community problem solver. So this presentation is on the premise of the huge advantage and benefit that Girl Scouting gives to girls. And those of you that have been around for a while are really aware of the advantages and benefits of Girl Scouting. If that phraseology and those 5 benefits are new to you, we can please put your name in the chat box and we will get you a sheet explaining those leadership outcomes that Girl Scouts display. And with that, I'm going to start in the presentation and talk about the powerful impact that a role model, and we're going to talk about that girls might be experiencing some stress beyond their Girl Scout troop, whether it's in their neighborhood or in their social distancing group or within their family. But the critical thing for us to know about, and many of us that were Girl Scouts are truly paying it forward and giving that goodness that we got because we're incredible humans because of Girl Scouting back to our girls. Well, one of the things that is so important for us to remember is that it just takes one significant adult to make a huge difference in a girl's life. And so we're going to start off with a video that really explains the power of resilience and the impact that you can have on a girl.
Resilience is the result of a highly interactive process between individual characteristics in the person and the environment in which that individual has developed.
It's really the counterbalancing of difficult things that may exist in the child's life with positive things that occur within the family, but even positive things that may exist in the community.
An easy way of thinking about resilience is like a scale with a fulcrum in the middle of it. And there are things on both sides of that scale, experiences of both bad things or good things.
Our genes shape where the fulcrum is positioned at the start.
There are certain genes that make a child more sensitive to the effects of maltreatment or parental neglect or witnessing violence.
The fulcrum may start out kind of more towards one side or more towards the other side, and that's going to make a big difference in terms of how much these subsequent events affect things positively or negatively.
Science tells us that experience moves the fulcrum, for better or for worse.
Even though we are born with genes, genes will respond differently to certain environmental situations as opposed to others.
What the genes are actually doing are turning up or turning down the expression of chemicals in circuits in the brain and the circuitry in the entire body that govern our responses to stress, to anxiety, to depressive symptoms.
When positive experiences accumulate and children learn coping skills that help them to manage stress, the fulcrum can slide so the scale tilts toward positive outcomes more easily. That's what resilience is all about.
There's always an adult, or more than one adult, who is key to providing that relationship that helps to build resilience.
And that key adult is a Girl Scout leader, oftentimes. So we have a powerful role to play in a girl's life, and especially during this stressful time, that girls are feeling this sense of isolation and separation. They're distanced from other girls, from their girlfriends, and they really need that social interaction, much more than their male counterparts do. So the lack of social support and peer group validation is a real major concern. But there's some things as adults that we take for granted, that shelter of each other that we can give to our girls. It's merely finding a forum for girls to be together so they can giggle together, so they can tell good stories, because it's a Girl Scout family. For girls who are feeling this isolation and this separation, we need that structure of that shelter of each other, that connectedness that you get with girls telling good stories. So a leader can facilitate the girls saying, what good stories did you have? You can do porch drops, just a simple little flower on someone's front porch. Or know that it can be a 20-minute meeting instead of your regular short-term meeting. It could be a scavenger hunt. So what you're going to see with each of these effects is the benefit that Girl Scouting can provide. We can easily provide connectedness and support by girls with something as simple as us all saying the promise and law together. Just that simple activity makes us feel connected, part of a whole, and helps overcome some of that separation that we experience. There are other things as well that we can do to build the connectedness. The next slide, Marielle. So the other thing that relates very closely with that connectedness and that separation that girls, and many of you saw this on the opening presentation, is inviting girls to share a story and keeping it positive. Encouraging them by sharing some badge work together. I have a really exciting thing. I was on a Zoom call with some girls today, and they were telling me that during COVID, they had done more badge work than they had done their whole Girl Scout year. So badge work done virtually can build that sense of accomplishment, can help eradicate that failure that girls feel when they're not learning together. It can also help them learn how to lead and feel a sense of connectedness and accomplishment. So the other part of that is also if we have girls doing community service. And so girls have shared that as well. They've told us 3 things. They've worked on badges. Some of their badge work, even though they're middle schoolers, that they did when they were younger, is amazing to them because they're saying they're using some of the healthy information they learned from badge work. So as leaders, if you haven't done some of those health badges, they're not too tough. And girls are telling us the health badges that I did when I was a Brownie, when I did a junior, I've used it to propel me into a healthy way of being during COVID. So kind of interesting, I think. General storytelling, I think, is really great. And I want to remind everybody, if you haven't signed up for Volunteer Toolkit or you haven't made a connection to the help desk, please do. Call the help desk. You have any questions about which badges could we work on together, call the help desk. Call your membership specialist. Check Volunteer Toolkit. And if you haven't signed up for the How to Use Volunteer Toolkit, do it. Or reach out to anyone on the Girl Scout staff or the help desk and they'll help you. The next thing is obviously, when we start to talk a little bit, is that failure to learn. What is coming from that is that girls are thinking that they may not be so smart. And we've all been there. How many of us have been in a situation where it's like, oh my goodness, everyone is so much smarter than me? Has anyone felt that? Raise your hand if you felt that. And right now, we know, and Mariella, the chart would be amazing for the leaders to see. This chart shows us the amount of lost learning in quite honestly, if we have students that have I can't use my pointer, but you can see that the learning slowdown occurred right after classes discontinued. And we know that you get more learning loss if there's no instruction whatsoever. That's the bottom pale blue line. Learning slowdown when there's low quality remote learning. Even with average remote learning, which is the darker sort of royal blue line, you still get a learning loss. And then the top line is the typical in-person student. Thank you, Marielle, for the pointer. The typical rates of in-classroom instruction. So some of the instability and some of the concern that girls have It's really true, because the amount of learning loss has such a negative impact on a girl's development. And what researchers are telling us is that they may have a negative impact on her development for her lifetime unless there's a catch-up activity. And that's where I think we can, as Girl Scout leaders, we can radically stunt learning loss. And I quote, you know, when my father turned 92 and I was alone in the car with him, and I asked him, I said, Dad, what advice would you have for a youngster these days? And, you know, he's 92 and we're going on a birthday adventure. And he said, be honest and learn everything you can. And I think about that when I think about the impact that Girl Scout leaders can have on girls' learning. Whether it's a Zoom gathering, and I'm going to invite you to all be big and brave and learn by doing, and have a Zoom gathering. There are some resources, and I will share that you're all going to get this PowerPoint after the presentation. There's also, many of you experience Facebook Live. It's not too tough. If you want to know how to do it, call the help desk. We'll help you. We want you to be able to find the resources you need so our girls will not lose their mental acuity. And we can stem that tide of them losing that. There are also short and snappy resources that are available at this site. And of course, part of it is don't make it too tough on yourself. Girl Scouts can provide structure and fun learning experiences and a consistent meeting schedule that will fill in some of that loss of stimulation they're getting in the educational environment and that sense of structure. But don't make it too tough on yourself, because you can also say to the girls, who wants to set up the Zoom meeting? And the girls will do it and make it look easy. Sometimes girls just want to talk. And so just creating that sense of structure so they can talk. And maybe it's a simple question of, what did you learn today? Or what do you want to learn that we could all learn together? And who wants to research, you know, how long it takes a dog to carry puppies before they birth? I mean, who knows what the questions the girls are kind of come up with. I'm amazed at what the questions the girls come up with. Let the girls lead. How about a virtual friendship circle? Oh, that could be so fun. Ask the girls to put it together. Okay, put your foot in, cross your arms. How are we going to do a virtual friendship circle? An easy thing that we can do is to acknowledge every girl. Remember, she's feeling insecure. She's feeling like she doesn't have a firm foundation. So that means simple things like calling every girl by name. Thank you so much, Jen, for joining us. Sally, it's so great to see you. Jan, I'm so happy you're in this session. Andrea, it's so wonderful to see you. Well, you hear your name and you smile. You love being recognized. That's what a girl feels when you acknowledge every single girl on a virtual meeting, every girl that shows up in the park with an enthusiasm that you're so happy to see them. And that right there boosts their self-confidence and gives them that self-reliance that they need in this unstable, very inconsistent schedule that they have. Find a way to find a success in every girl. So find a way to call on every girl and share your pride in each of them. Oh, I'm so proud of you. Look at you. You're talking together. Look how kind you were to let her speak first. Find a way that you could acknowledge every single girl's participation. And then you'll see, I'm not going to read to you because I know you're really smart. But you can see there are other ideas. What we're going to do in the session tomorrow night is fill in some of these resources by gathering your ideas and thoughts, and we're also going to take your ideas out of the chat group. Next, one of the significant indicators that researchers are finding is that girls are really needing much more support during COVID. We have a way of reducing anxiety. I mean, Girl Scouts, that's our job. We can promote bravery, which leads to long-term confidence. So now more than ever, girls need Girl Scouting, because we have an obligation to role model happiness, even if at home you're like, how am I coping with this? We put on that happy face as a Girl Scout leader, as a trainer, whatever your role in Girl Scouting, and we say, I'm gonna model happiness, I'm gonna model confidence, because you know what? By modeling that, you will instill that happiness and that confidence in girls for a lifetime. So this is a huge gift that we can give to girls. Now, some things we need to look for. If we want to strengthen a girl's positive sense of self, we probably need to be on alert for some of those indicators that show that somebody's talking, so don't forget to mute or moot, whatever it might be. Hopefully it's not moot. So you want to have some conversations. We are going to include at the tail end of this some guides to COVID discussion. But I wanted to share with you some of the things to look for. You know, look for signs of girls feeling angry or being in a little bit of shock. Maybe they're avoiding eye contact. Maybe they're fidgeting. Maybe they're showing you fight or flight behavior that says, oh my goodness, you know, I'm gonna get in a confrontation or I'm gonna walk away. And it's unusual behavior for them. We also are gonna just really have you be astute observers over what do they look like? Are they pulling away from the group? And our job as leaders is to focus on resilience. Say it out loud. Say to them, you know, look how flexible you're being. You want to foster humor. You want to guide them in a way that you haven't guided them in the past. Some of the things that other behaviors that, and you're going to get this in your presentation, but it's not on a slide, is, you know, there may be crying comes easy, tears come a little faster, irritation. They may be returning to some behaviors that they had when they were younger that they had grown out of. They may be sad. They may be doing unhealthy eating and sleeping habits. Irritable, acting out behaviors are pretty common in teens when they're really responding to stress in a negative way. They're avoiding activities that they liked in the past, kind of shutting down. And they have body aches, body pains, unexplained headaches. And so we do really want you to talk about your girls. You'll see in the resource section of this that if you can talk to your girls about COVID, and it doesn't take a complex dialogue. So this site will actually give you some tips on how to talk to your girls about COVID. Some other tips are welcoming your families to restrain their exposure to news. If you have a girl in your group, you can share with your family, like maybe she should be out of the room when you're watching the news broadcast. And then of course, as a Girl Scout leader, try to keep to a regular routine, a regular timing, a regular schedule. Many girls have told us that their leaders are meeting with them. They were too busy and too overscheduled before, but now they're meeting with them once a week and they love it. The other thing that we're seeing girls respond to is some of the racial issues that have surfaced. So I did send out a communication early on, and this is just a reference to that on how to talk to your girls and maybe share it with your parents about how do we talk about race to our girls. I do want to point out that that we can have a huge impact on helping children and adolescents cope with COVID-19 by being a role model, which we talked about, reassuring that they're safe. And for some girls, you may be their most positive role model in their life. And that's hard for sometimes for us to realize because we don't know what the rest of their world looks like, but keep that in mind. Of course, we're gonna keep those meetings regular, let them know it's okay if they feel upset, and let's talk about it. What's what's making you upset? Let's talk about it. Let's see how we can talk about how we fix that. Is there anything we can do to help that upsetness go away? And then, of course, be honest and accurate with your information. And then once more, we also said, limit your family's exposure to news coverage. I think another thing that's really, really great is self-talk. And you can model self-talk. Like when fear arises, use encouraging language like, you'll get over this. I believe in you. I know you can do this. There's so much research on strong strategies for mastering self-talk, whether it's, helping them, let's say they say, oh, this virtual learning is so tough. And you just can confidently say, just turn it around on them and say, try to talk to yourself about, how about trying to say this? I should keep working just to learn as much as I can. Can you say that to yourself? Because pretty soon you start to believe it. Can you say, I'm going to persuade myself to just keep at it till I start to understand it? That's mastering self-talk. And you can say that in front of girls, like, I'm working on self-talk. I'm working on, I'm going to try to be on time much more often. And, I'm going to try to learn that being on time means showing up 5 minutes early. So you're modeling self-talk. And you can say to the girls, what self-talk would you like to work on? It's as simple as that. Kind of exciting. I'm so glad that y'all are in this challenging time with us. One of the things that can be a difficult topic to talk about, but very important topic, is we know that girls are practicing some pretty unhealthy eating habits. They're eating a lot of ultra-processed or junk food. And a lot of adults and girls are talking about having gained weight. And so that about 50% of the people on a Facebook survey said that they had gained an average of 15 pounds. Well, let me tell you something very cool. I was on the phone with the TikTok girls today with Miss Brenna Smith, and those girls were amazing. And those girls said, what they learned in their healthy badge work, they were putting to use, and they were giving advice to their friends on healthy eating and exercise behavior. Wow, how amazing. Now we have to be careful. We have to make sure our girls understand that what we're building is an understanding of healthy eating and exercise. And it's not a judgment about where they are. It's just another avenue of learning how to eat right, learning how to exercise. And we can model that for girls. We can tell them, oh, I'm so excited. I just conquered this hugely difficult move in Pilates. And you probably don't want to show them the move, but just the fact that they know that you're trying to do something. Or I did an extra block in my walk this week. We have to model this very important behavior for our girls. And we have to really, maybe during our Girl Scout time together, we say, okay, we're going to stand up and we're going to do some fun jump and touch the balloon on the ceiling. You know what to do. There are dance workout videos, and we'll be filling out this chart as you share more of your ideas with us on ways that we can help our girls learn more healthy behavior. So we can do cooking online. We can ask the girls, bring forward your healthiest recipe. What are you most proud of that you'd like to learn to make? What do you love? What do you think are healthy foods? Then I want to return to all those lifestyle badges, whether you're Daisy, Brownie, Junior, Cadet, Senior. They're all listed in your resource guide that you're going to get. Pull out those books. Some of our vintage badges are great. There's some fabulous, fabulous resources, of course, on the web. And you can always ask the girls, can you find the site that gave you the most interesting, healthy exercise? Remember, we can be really girl-led about this. So we want to encourage them to come out of the COVID hibernation. So we can use that phraseology to say, you know, this is kind of a new way of thinking. We're going to emerge from the COVID hibernation that we've been in, and we're going to check out some new badges, or we're going to do some, thank you for the great idea, for some yoga tips. There are some amazing kid-friendly, healthy exercises out there. So remember the phraseology of just coming out of COVID hibernation. It sort of says, okay, we've been on this other path, and now we're going to try a new one. Did you also know, girls, that your families can go out to camp? You can hike, you can go to the sports field. You know what? We're going to start to get information out to leaders that you can go out there with your troops. And that will be very exciting. Right now, you can make day trips out to each of our camps. And please keep in mind that to support those things that you want to keep, and that is, you know, we want to keep Girl Scouting vibrant and alive and keep our camps available for our girls and our grandchildren beyond us. So a few tips, and we're going to keep adding. We're going to take your ideas and add them to our chart, and we'll add even more after tomorrow's night session. So if you have great ideas, sign back in tomorrow night, and there's going to be a lot more interaction. I'm trying to pack a lot of the research in, so I hope you're with me. Is everybody still with me? Okay, all right. So the next one is, unfortunately, girls that are come from lower socioeconomic families are getting the brunt of COVID. They are more severely disadvantaged. And you may know girls or have girls in your troop, and you may not be aware, or you may not be aware of what their own life is like, and that they are experiencing some heightened symptoms of COVID. So keep that in mind. You know, clinics are telling us that girls are being seen for anemia, especially girls who have gotten their period, who have gone through puberty. And so it's a great time to invite a health official out to talk to your girls online about the importance of a healthy, nutritious diet with iron and vitamins, because they need to replenish their bloodstream. Know that we have lots of ideas that how girls can extend that sisterly existence and assistance and caring to girls in need. So this is the time when they can reach out and do service projects and think about other girls that really need support. You know, it's amazing when you read the research and you see the effect that girls learning to be selfless, girls learning to do community service, girls learning to do projects beyond themselves, it carries through for their lifetime. So when we talk about girls making the world a better place, it's not just for now, but it carries through for their entire lifetime. Now, here's an interesting fact. Researchers tell us that those people that give to others, even in times when they are experiencing economic hardships, they still find a way to give away squash from their garden or to give away unknitted dishcloth. Those girls tend to be girls that in their future, they have higher paying wages. So by teaching your girls community service, you're also giving them a gift to themselves, that they are more likely to be successful than their counterparts who are not doing community problem solving. And you remember that Girl Scouts are about 39% more likely than non-Scouts to be community problem solvers and seek challenges. It's amazing, about 20% if you're Girl Scouts, more likely to seek challenges. So keep those girls doing those community services and ask them what they most want to do. Do they want to do a porch drop of pet food and deliver it to the local pet shelter? Know that when they are giving sisterly assistance to animals or girls in need, that they're also building their own quotient for success. And for that, I thank you, because community service is part of our DNA, the Girl Scout DNA. If you need ideas for community service, please reach out to the help desk. Reach out to your membership specialist. You know, our emails are all the same. It's like our first initial, our last name at gshom.org. So you can even reach out to me. You can reach out to Mariella, Imrua, any of us. If you want to reach out because you need some assistance, no question is silly. Ask us and we'll help you. Now, fear is something that I think we have to model, despite the fact that we might be fearful. And I will tell you a personal story in that, you know, for most of my childhood, I would have horrible dreams about bridges. And so I had a fear of bridges most of my life. And it wasn't until my daughter was about 25 and we had to go across Lake Pontchartrain. And I told her, you know, that I had to conquer my fear in front of you, and I'm not afraid of bridges anymore. And she just looked at me and she said, Mother, I had no idea you were terrified of bridges. And I said, that was my job. I was doing my job as a mom. So that's what we have to do as Girl Scout leaders. If we're afraid of spiders, we have to suck it up and hide it. And we have to say, you know, it's just an 8-legged animal and it's more afraid of us. So we can help girls through their fear. Fear can be used as a cycle for good, because it does help us to keep us safe, but it's also important that we talk about it. So we've included a lot of resources for you so that you can get grounded to talk with girls about fear, or invite a female doctor who turned into a doctor, who studied to be a doctor because they themselves had a fear of death, or they had a fear of dying, or they had to experience a difficult time and watch a loved one die. The other thing I want to remind you is, and at the end of this presentation, we have some great resources on helping girls overcome fear. And girls love to be read to. You know, on a road trip, I'll often read to my husband. And for most of my children's lives, until they left home, I read aloud to them. And it takes us back to this secure place of when we were read aloud and our parent had their arm around us, sharing a book on a couch or getting ready for bedtime. And so reading aloud during this time can calm some of those fears. It can overcome worry and anxiety. So we do have a list of books that are great read aloud books. So as it relates to fear, I'm going to share a video, and I think this is really interesting, and we're going to talk about some observations from the video at the end. And so to overcome fear, oftentimes we have to model risk-taking. So I'd love for you to enjoy this video with us.
6 Habits of Risk Takers. Risk-taking is not for everyone, because it involves some kind of danger, and you may feel safer avoiding risks. But sometimes it gets to the point that doing nothing to change your situation is more dangerous than taking a risk. So, if you want to change your life, if you want to change where you are, if you want to achieve a higher level of success, if you want to fulfill your dreams, you have to take risks. Also, keep in mind that when you take a risk, you don't always succeed. But every time you do it, you learn, you build confidence, and you create alternatives and choices for yourself. So be brave, take action, and don't allow your fears to impose limitations on yourself. Instead on putting your attention on what might go wrong, focus on what could go right. Keep in mind that bravery is not the lack of fear, but the ability to move forward in spite of fear. Here are 6 habits of risk takers. 1. They're more confident and resilient. With every risk taken, no matter the outcome, they grow, learn, and become better and more fulfilled persons. They learn from their mistakes and develop the persistence and determination necessary to continue moving forward. 2. They feel the fear, but they do it anyway. A positive result is never promised, so they find the courage to take risks. They may be facing the fear of uncertainty, but they eliminate and conquer it by pressing forward. 3. They're overconfident. They don't overestimate problems, and don't underestimate their abilities. When they face a new challenge, they have the opportunity to discover their own unique potential, so their desire to succeed becomes greater than their fear to lose. 4. They don't listen to negative people. They don't get too preoccupied with the opinions of others. They do welcome criticism, but only as constructive feedback, so they can analyze their weaknesses and strengths, and make necessary improvements. 5. They don't have regrets. They take risks and focus on what they learned, even when they didn't reach their goal. They don't get attached to a single outcome, and don't live with the what-if mentality. 6. They make plans and take action. The idea is to maximize their chances for success, while minimizing the chance of a negative outcome. So, they plan accordingly, but without overanalyzing a situation. They take action, and adapt as they go.
So I'm glad you liked the video. I do find it very interesting that most of the pictures are of men, because in our culture, men are perceived as bolder risk takers. So we have a responsibility as women to teach girls where fear comes and how to use that fear as a learning tool. How, didn't it sound familiar? Like, learn from our mistakes. That's the Girl Scout culture. To build confidence, risk-taking does build self-reliance and confidence. And that's what we have to model. We have to model resilience. We have to model confidence. And we can feel the fear and do it anyway. Take the courage to take the risk and press forward. That desire to succeed. And I think we can instill that with some simple words to girls, like, you can do it. You can do it. I know you can. You're so brave. You're so strong. You're so smart. And so oftentimes people will say, you're so pretty. I love your dress. Well, make sure that if you say that, you're also saying, and you look so smart. I bet you're good at math. Oh, look how strong you are. Make sure that we are reinforcing the right things. And also, as Girl Scout leaders, we take negatives and we turn them into positives. So stay positive. And then, of course, it should sound familiar to everyone if you've taken a training in Girl Scouting. It's like, make plans, take action. And because we're girl-led, we want our girls to help us make plans. What is it that you most want to do? What is it? How can we problem solve and figure it out so we can still do some of those things? So I love that Girl Scouting helps girls learn to be risk takers. And some of that risk, we have to conquer our own fears. So when you're reading aloud to your girls, and you'll get a complete list of this, but here's some of the cute books that are out there about how to overcome fear, how to overcome worry. So you'll get that list, and it'll look like this when you go to that site. And there are books for all different ages, and don't be afraid. Now, some of the girls may whine when you say, you're going to read aloud to us. Yes, and just persist, because you're going to succeed in finishing the book. And something as simple as you desiring, like, you know, I'm going to finish this book, and I think you're going to like it. So in the beginning, if you're not used to being read aloud to, just indulge me, because I have this desire to succeed, and my success tonight's going to be determined with the fact that I'm going to finish this book. So it can be something as simple as using those words to finish a book and model for girls that you indeed have a goal, and you're going to plow straight forward despite the fact that someone might be moaning, oh, really? She's going to read to us? Try it with high schoolers. It's amazing how it works. And I speak from experience. I read to high school juvenile delinquents who were in trouble and incarcerated. And they were like, you're going to read poetry to us? I said, yes, I am. And you're going to not like it, but you're going to sit here and be respectful. And you know, before it was over, they would come and say, aren't you going to read to us? So persist. And you'll get this wonderful source. Mighty Girl is just such a great, great connection. So don't be afraid to stumble around and find some resources and tools that will help you learn how to teach girls coping skills. And as you're teaching, you know what happens. When you teach it, you learn it. The other thing I want to really emphasize that Girl Scouts does, it's part of our culture, and that's, ooh, I want some tea too, Susan. That looks delicious. Is singing. Singing creates the sense of unity and calm, or unity and enthusiasm. So sing together, even though it's a little disjointed and can be a little time delayed. You can turn some of the volume down and sing some of those Girl Scout songs, or do a popcorn where one person sings the first line, the next girl sings the second line, and you're all quiet, but you're unmuted, and you pass the talking stick around. So anything that will create this sense of connectedness that we started talking about in the very beginning will help girls overcome their worry, their fear, and their anxiety, because we want them to be stress and anxiety free for the rest of their life. And you have a huge impact to make that happen. The other thing is that there may be girls that are experiencing increased anger, frustration from people in their household. They're more likely to be asked to take care of elderly or siblings. They may be frightened of their family, plummeting towards economic demise. Here's a quote that's just a statistic that's just, it's amazing. 70% of frontline health workers and social workers are women. So think about the girl whose mom is in that 70%. She's worried about mom staying safe and healthy. And most of those frontline workers that are involved in health and social work are women. And so once again, it's our job to teach girls where that fear comes from and explain, well, mom's careful. Mom's doing all these amazing things to take care of herself and to take care of you. So let's celebrate that instead of being terrified that mom might not come home one day. So there's a lot we can do to help girls. And many of the things that we talked about already modify the stress that they might be feeling beyond Girl Scouts. We can provide this much needed break for girls and a safe place to recharge and just be a girl. So my advice to you is keep it simple. Let the girls lead, sit back, make sure, will y'all, sorry for calling you guys, will y'all please put in the chat group if you didn't receive your source yet, or if you know of families that haven't received their source, because we want to make sure that you get it. Because just the simple exercise of asking the girls to open their sources and do a virtual source exploration could be so fun. I don't know if you've noticed, but our camp staff is incredible. Camp Reimagined was out of this world. And our source this year, I'm gonna bet there's not a single Girl Scout council in the nation that has programs like we're offering. So encourage your parents. I think many parents don't know what the source is and what a fabulous family resource it is. So have a source sharing. Remember, if you do a read aloud job, some girls are not good at reading aloud if they struggle. And so you want to be careful if you do a read aloud that you're not adding stress. But open that source, encourage them to have it. Please let us know if you have not received your source yet, because we want to make sure that you get one. And remember to remind girls that, you know what, we might not pick the perfect program, but we learn from our mistakes. And you know what, we're trying. We're going to try some new programs that we've never done. At the tail end of our presentation, which we're coming very near to the tail end, we have some sources that those of you that love to, not the source, but we have some resources that you can go to find some very quick, short and snappy reads that will help you keep children's stress from turning into trauma, to prepare prepare you for a dialogue. And also at the tail end of this that we will all send you will be that list of books for picture books for young people. And remember, some of our older girls may have younger siblings that they've been asked to care for them. Maybe getting some of those picture books and having them take it home, because just them talking about stress and fear and worry with a younger sibling can help release that from themselves so they can be in a teaching position. There are also novels for middle schoolers, and then some escape books for second graders that you'll see. Now, what I would love is to have Mariella help us with some of the questions in the in the chat box. And sorry, I was thinking about the source. It is magnificent. I hope you've all perused it. Hang on to it. Don't recycle it just yet. Do that at the end of next year. So much to do in there. But I would love to hear some of your thoughts, reactions to the presentation, ideas that you think that this is inspired, you'd like to do with your girls, or things that you've done with you girls that have hit the mark, that really address some of the issues that researchers are telling us the girls are encountering.
So we can, do you want me to stop sharing the screen and we can see everybody too? And
that would be amazing.
Yep, all right. So, okay.
Are there questions in the chat box or comments or feedback? You know, experiential education cycle would say that y'all would give me some feedback on how I did and how you might use the learning that you hopefully you learned something.
So there was a question about programs, if they were online for volunteers and girls to register, and the answer was through October they're entered, and then we're working through November and beyond. Val said that she found some great books from the Osborne books also. A lot of the source programs will be offered virtually. How can we tell if a program is virtual? That was a question from Mary. I think those decisions are being made as we go, and as day by day kind of thing, when we are all waiting to see what's going on around us, and what are there any restrictions that are extended again or not. So I know they already have had some sources, some programs, excuse me, and there's all safety measurements being taken in place. So
yes,
I think, yeah, Mary, you will probably be notified if there's something that's going to be virtual. And I know the program team has been contacting vendors to see if the programs that were offered can be offered virtually too. So, and vendors are also working with us on that.
We also recorded this session, and you are welcome to share this with parents in your troop. You're also going to receive this through email. If you would like a hard copy, we can send you a hard copy. We'd be glad to do that. We want you to share this information. I should let you know that I probably did 3.5 weeks of research. A lot of the information came from the Search Institute. They did a series on developmentally attentive community and society and what do children need to flourish. And they also, there were Harvard, Medical School, Johns Hopkins, many of our researchers were looking, and the Association of Therapists, I don't think that's the exact right name. I don't have my resource list in front of me, but I dug into a lot of the research. In fact, we started researching so early that the researchers didn't have a lot of research done yet. So as time went on, I found more and more results from research, especially from therapists who were talking specifically with girls. So please share it. There may be parts of this that you want to share with girls, like talk about it.
Jan, there was a comment from Ashley that she loved all the content from the meeting, from the session, and it has given her many ideas and inspiration for her troop. I only hope now that my co-leaders are as receptive of my excitement for the coming year. So,
we'll show them the recording. Talk to your membership specialist. They could set something up and talk about this. They're all of the staff will have a copy of this presentation.
Right.
And they've been looking at the research and the summary of the research for a couple weeks now because I presented it in an all-staff meeting. So many of them are fully aware of this research and they all know the advantage of Girl Scouts.
Yeah. And hey, Jan, I may have mentioned that you would be willing to talk to Ashley's co-leaders to get them excited too.
Yes, yes.
I would be delighted. I would be delighted.
And Jan also has been in this world that we've been living in. She has participated in some troop meetings as well, virtual troop meetings. So some leaders have reached out and asked for Jan's participation, and if she was available, she is always more than happy to also make an appearance at those. So we are volunteering Jan for that too.
And don't hesitate. A lot of people are like, well, you're so busy. Don't hesitate to email me. And our staff is fully engaged. We're working harder than we ever have to keep things going. We're being really, really, really resilient and trying to model fearlessness and mindfulness for you at all times. So I would love to be included if my schedule allows it. And I can't thank you all enough for signing up for this session, caring about our girls so much. We have the potential to just make the world a better place when a lot of people are not looking at COVID in that light. But I think there are so many positive advantages. And our leaders are excited to be able to change girls' lives. And now's the time. We have a big, big job to do. So thank you. Other questions?
Well, they're asking about the PowerPoint, and it will be emailed out to everybody, and then you will be able to click on all the links and have access to all the resources Jan mentioned. So I will be doing that probably tonight or tomorrow morning for sure. If you don't get it, you can email me at mrua, M-R-U-A @gshom.org. I'll type it in the chat box too. Denise mentioned that a community service that her troop did during COVID was send inspirational quotes to assisted living facilities. That's amazing, Denise.
And I know that many of our seniors, some of them have been locked down in their rooms and taking meals delivered to their rooms. So they've been getting very little exercise, way worse than girls. And they also have been getting very little social stimulation. So that is a wonderful service project. Thanks for sharing that, Denise. I love it. I'm sure your girls felt really, really good about that.
Yeah, she said it was something all girls could do, and it made them feel so good when receiving a thank you card back also. So Barb was thanking you for the informative and session, and she has 2 pages of notes and ideas, and she's very excited to share with her troop. What else? I'm kind of scrolling through, but thank you so much for this presentation, and we'll be using some of the things from my notes with the girls in my troop and also the parents. Everybody is excited about sharing all this information, so.
And do you think that it would be beneficial, and would you be interested in a follow-up Zoom meeting in like another month as a refresher, and as research gets more complex, we could share?
That would be amazing.
Yes.
Yes, please.
Okay. The answer.
And we can invite some other people. And I invite you to reach out to your friends, your neighbors, your strangers, the people in the coffee shop, the people on your virtual chat group or your virtual exercise class, and invite them to be Girl Scout leaders, because girls need us. They need positive role models doing the right thing. So encourage your colleagues. It will fill their soul. You hear those girls, and it's inspiring.
So everybody's saying, yes, come in, yes, 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 please. So we will be scheduling something, putting something together, and you will all hear about that for sure.
And the presenters for tomorrow's night's presentation are with us tonight viewing this presentation. So they're going to use the information from this to gather your insight and dig a little deeper into some of the Girl Scout badges, activities that can be done, and listen to your ideas. So it was a lot of me talking for that. It's not my normal way of presentation, but we tried to cram a lot in. So thank you for sticking with me. I didn't see anyone drifting off. So thank you for that. Susan, I want some iced tea.
She's running away with it. No.
Hello. I personal chat, if you all can read that, or should I post it to everyone? It's kind of a sensitive topic. Maybe you should read it first before responding.
Send it to Mariella.
I can share it with you after the session for sure, and we will get back with you.
That's a great question.
Thank you. Yep.
I love the bird chair, I have to tell you. I'm like an avid bird watcher, so I'm loving the bird chair. Yes, I'm talking about you, the one with the birds and the leaves. Yes, that would be you, Melissa. It's so cool. And you have a map of the world behind you. I love it. It's like, so let's travel. Where are we going?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not just yet, but we can go there virtually, right?
Hi, Jan.
Hi.
My girls wanted to say hi to you. So
hi, how are you?
This is Lily. She's a 3rd grade brownie, and she saw you talking during virtual camp and gets excited every time she hears your voice on Zoom now.
Oh, Lily, you know I love your name.
This is Emma. She's starting kindergarten daisies this year.
Okay.
But they've seriously just been sitting here watching like
Did you see me on my tractor, girls? Were you at that session? Which session did you see? The tadpoles?
Yes.
Oh, I still have some tadpoles. There were like 5 generations of frog eggs. So the tadpoles have lasted for forever, and they're still throwing legs and hopping onto their little island. And I release about 4 of them every day. And I will tell you, one of the tadpole species in there is an endangered species, and it's so exciting. But at one of the session, I think the session after your session, I talked to the girls about how to build a compost pile. And some of you may not know, but our family lives on a flower farm. And so I'm in charge of the tractor. And so I did get on the tractor and dig a hole for the girls. And that was very exciting for the girls to like see me dig a hole and put some peelings in and things. It wasn't too disgusting, but sometimes, our compost gets a little wild, but it was a calm compost day. So girls, it's nice to see you, Emma and Lily. I love seeing you guys. Everyone have a wonderful night. Mariella, is there anything else that you would like to add? Sarah, is there anything you'd like to add?
I was trying to see so there's how the pandemic impacts a girl's mental health, mental and physical health is very similar to how racism impacts girls. Let's acknowledge and address it. Let's be considerate, caring, courageous, strong, and a sister to every Girl Scout.
Yes, and something we're reaching out is like, let's reach out and invite every girl to the troop, every girl to the table, every girl to the program, every girl to camp. And every volunteer. We need role models of all shapes and sizes.
I don't know if anybody wants to open their mic and share anything else at this time. Oh. Okay.
Well, thank you all for being with us, and thanks for being Girl Scout leaders, and have fun with your girls. And if your girls tell you a great joke, share it. Share it. Email it to me. I'm always looking for great jokes.
Great. Well, thank you, everybody.
Thank you guys for putting this out. This was really informational. We appreciate it.
Great.
So
Thank you
welcome.
for attending. Have a great night.
Peace out, Girl Scouts.